Chunkz has been cancelled for singing to Chris Brown, allowing Lil Nas X into his house, taking a picture and uploading it to Instagram. And now just recently he's been getting cancelled for saying that he would disown his son if he left Islam, or he would disown his child. I think he said son, but that's beside the point. Chunkz, he's just always under scrutiny. Now, whether you agree with what he says or you don't disagree, bro, the poor guy actually just gets it online. Like, look, there's very few YouTubers who actually, you know, when they come onto the scene, they have more than just followers. They actually create a culture where people are inspired by them and they create a new wave. There's very few YouTubers. Let's just say, for example, Nico's one of them. Like, he's not just a YouTuber, he's made a scene, or I shouldn't say made a scene, but he's made a style of content where people are inspired by him. Same with Chunkz. So many guys, especially if you're from, you know, London. You might even see people always trying to do that general knowledge style of video where you're just sitting down with your friends, and he really did pioneer that style. Like, he wasn't the first to do it, but he really did make an impact. So I'm always gonna have a lot of respect for Chunkz, and I love Chunkz. No homo, but I love Chunkz, and I just feel like recently he's just been getting it so peak. And I was thinking to myself, like, why does this guy always just get it online? Like, some of these guys are harsh with him, and he made a statement the other day on Instagram saying that he wasn't internet ready, akhi, yeah, and he should have maybe worded what he said a little bit differently. And I just feel like, look, my opinion, some of the things that he says are, you know, some of the things that he says, obviously they're, you know, you could disagree with them. I mean, for example, when he said he would disown his son if he left Islam, you know, some people could argue that, you know, if your son was to leave Islam, the last thing you'd want to do is disown him, because then he's definitely not going to come back to the religion. You know, as a Muslim myself, you'd want to keep that relationship with your son. Some people would say, no, you should just, you know, if he's left Islam, he's left the fold of Islam, then you're not going to have that connection with him. My opinion is, look, you can have your opinion, but even when he was asked that question on the podcast with Chip, you know, that's when he said it. That's when he's been going viral. I haven't even seen, I didn't watch the clip loads of times, but from what I do remember, yeah, I remember him answering it very seriously. I was like, bro, it's just a hypothetical, man. Like, he answered it very, you know, when you say, it really matters how you say things. Because I could say right now, if someone asked me, would your, you know, let's say I was actually as bait as Chunkz, but if someone said to me like, yo, flipping, you know, would you disown your child if they left Islam? I'd be like, yeah, I mean, to be fair, it is quite peak if they left Islam, because that is a very big thing to me. And, you know, I don't know how a relationship would ever be if they left Islam. We wouldn't be able to pray together. We wouldn't have that same connection with each other, which is probably exactly what Chunkz feels. But I would say it in like a more of just a, I don't know, Chunkz just said it like, no, like, bro, I'm disowning him, it's too peak. No, obviously, people who aren't Muslim are definitely going to get angry, like, bro, your friend's a young Philly and this and that, and then you didn't say anything about Philly, but now you're going to disown your child. Like, people just want to hate, yeah? And my thing is that even if you, as Chunkz, even if he said something a little bit controversial, but he said it in a bit of a way where it's not really, he hasn't really said it considering that loads and loads of people are going to interpret it in different ways. People want a reason to hate, yeah? Chunkz is no longer relatable. Now, when I say no longer relatable, you shouldn't aim to always just be, I mean, it's good to be relatable, but, you know, alhamdulillah, Chunkz actually made it out. He actually made it out. And his big USP back in the day, this is just straight as it was, yeah, he was just a fat, chubby Somali guy. He had a bit of a gap tooth, but it was funny, like, very raw, unfiltered, that they'd be slapping each other, they'd be living in the yard and just filming videos. It was proper like Somali banter, West London banter, Northwest, whatever. And it was just very funny and authentic. And I'm not saying in any way it's not authentic anymore. Like, it's not authentic now, because the whole point of life is to progress. You should not be the same person. I'm saying this in favor of Chunkz, by the way. Like, I think it's good that you're able to develop, because, you know, you don't want to stay fat forever. He paid money to fix his teeth. Like, you wanna be able to make money so you can fix your appearance and be taken more seriously, because before, a lot of the time, he might have been funny, but some people might have liked him because he was seen to be, like, some people might have been laughing at him, not with him, because, you know, when you're just a bit fat, sometimes people can just find that funny. But I've always just found him hilarious. Now, as he started to get a little bit more clout, I do remember him, he used to post these freestyles on his Instagram, like, yo, just hit 100k, or just hit 1 milli, just hit 3 milli. And I do remember, as an actual, you know, fan of the content, I remember the freestyles, I was watching them and I was thinking to myself, like, I don't really have a problem with this too much, but I can understand that, like, you know, numbers, sometimes it can just unintentionally, it's happened to me as well, happens to everyone, but it can sometimes get to you just a little bit. Yeah, I'm trying to say it in a really nice way, yeah. But Chunkz was rapping about, like, yo, just hit 1 million on the gram, got a rollie on the wrist, and like that's fine to say those things, but the freestyle wasn't like, it wasn't that funny. Like he used to be known for banging loads of jokes, and he used to, and then he started to release 1 or 2 freestyles, and then the freestyles, it was coming across a little bit more flexy than funny, and the scales had tipped from, you know, you got being funny and then flexing, and it was like, it wasn't that as funny, and it was just straight flexing. I was like, yo, like, I mean, again, I think I'm so happy that you've been able to make it. Like, it's so inspiring. Chunkz, one of the biggest inspirations for me as well. Like, I love the guy, yeah. But I did notice that in those freestyles, I was like, hopefully it just doesn't get to him too much. Because I've heard 1 or 2 people say that, oh, I don't like how he is in person. He's a bit stuck up. But I honestly don't think that. I think he's a G. I've never actually met the guy. I've met a few of his friends, but I haven't met Chunkz. But from what I've heard, though, from other people, like, the general consensus, I like Chunkz. Yeah, I think he's a good guy. Life can get complicated. You know, when you get a lot of followers, you're Muslim, you're living in the Western world, money, clout, you know, he stopped making music because he wanted to, you know, because of his religion, because of Islam. And, you know, I rate those things. Even me, for example, I blew up off of making music video parodies, and I tried my best to, like, I struggle with it every single day, but I didn't want to continue making videos that were music video parodies because, you know, as you can see, when you get success from that, sometimes you can go down that path of becoming a musician, and that's what he was going to do, and then he stopped. And that was part of the reason why, you know, I thought to myself, I want to stop as well. So honestly, like, Chunkz, I've got so much respect for him. But yeah, I feel like people these days are just miserable by choice. They are genuinely miserable, and they want any excuse to hate on people. And the moment you become a little bit more the moment you become less relatable, and people are just, you know, not attaching themselves to your content as much as they used to, that's when the trigger switches, I guess. That's when things change, and people are like, yeah, I don't like the guy anyways. He's successful. He's not as funny anymore. Like, people can hate on you because you're not as funny. Like, bro, you can develop. Anyways, I just feel like, yeah, people will find any reason to hate. And I just feel like, yeah, the peakest thing about all of this, especially his most recent cancellation, he's not cancelled, by the way. The guy's living his life, mashallah, yeah. But the funny thing about this is the guy's getting cancelled over a hypothetical situation. Like, can you deep that? Like, this could have been avoided if maybe he had just answered the question in a bit more of a nicer, more, not lenient, but a bit more of a chill way. He just said, nah, I have to disown my son, it's too much. And like, because he just said it in that kind of way, bro, imagine getting cancelled over a hypothetical situation. Like, people will cancel you over anything. But if you were to ask me why I think Chunkz has been getting cancelled, I just feel like people find him a little bit less relatable, and they just want a reason to hate. They honestly just want a reason to hate. Because most of these guys that are saying all this rubbish, you know, they're just in Instagram comments, TikTok comments, like, bro, get off your ass and go do something with your life. You're sitting there complaining, and you wonder why you're not successful because you're looking at other people just chatting shit online all day. Bro, pattern up. Go do something with your life. If you think that Chunkz is not the guy or whatever, then go prove it. Like, go make some content and become better then. If you really want to, you know, have something to say, don't just sit there being counterproductive and just chatting rubbish online, yeah? Chunkz, I always got respect for him. And that's my opinion why I think that, you know, he's been getting cancelled a lot recently. But listen, every single day, 4 p.m. on this channel, talking about YouTube content, life, everything. So make sure you tap in. And yeah, love.